What's going on? Yeah, what's happening? Welcome back. It's me, Simoa. I'm still alive. Uh, I think I had said towards the end of my last videos on this channel that if I disappeared, it worked, and that I was probably living somewhere in a country with good tax laws. Um, didn't quite work out like that, but uh, it's been a lot of work though. A lot of course, a lot of internal work, a lot of time spent on the charts, a lot of things that I've learned, a lot of things that I've figured out, uh, some pretty significant ups. Yeah, some pretty significant ups. And what else? Yeah, and a fair amount of valleys, I guess, you know. But it don't matter because we back now, and we here, we're back now and we're here. So, we're gonna be live streaming our we're gonna be live streaming our hold on, let me record this because I might actually need this as well. There we go. All right, let's start that all over again. I haven't been here for such a long time. Did I miss you? Yes, of course, I missed you. What are you saying? I missed you. But yeah, but we're here. We're back. Welcome back to what used to be the Third Eye. It's now Indigo Futures HQ, IFHQ. Still the same mission. Still trading. Still trying to figure out the markets. My camera just went off, which is great. Hold on one second. Come back on. Yes, maybe. Huh. That's strange. Hold on. I mean, you can clearly tell I haven't been here for a while. I mean, what are these technical difficulties, man? You know what? I'm not gonna use that camera. I'm just gonna use. Yeah, I'm just gonna use my front camera, and that's what it's gonna be for now. If you have a problem with it, go and watch another stream. But yeah, welcome back to what was the Third Eye and is now Indigo Futures HQ. Yeah, I've had to figure out a lot of things, man. I've had to figure out these charts, a couple of things that have changed, and I was trading CFDs, which were all right. What can I say? CFD market were treating me badly, which is what made me then switch to futures because I figured, for one, I didn't want to deal with like broker spreads, and besides, I was doing all of my markups using futures charts, so it just kind of made sense to me to just like trade what I was analyzing. So hence the switch to futures. So yeah, so before we're doing US 100, which is NQ, and then sorry, this is bothering me. I need to 1 second, guys. Let me switch that off. Let me make myself big. Can I make myself bigger? Yeah, why not? Bring me here. Yeah, and also, do I care about being awkward? I really don't give a fuck. I'm sorry. Also, excuse my language. I'm gonna be speaking how I want to speak. Yeah, I have discovered the power of having no shame. I think that also comes with age. But yeah, it's been 5 minutes and we've just been yapping, and I've just been trying to sort out this stream thing. One second. I promise it's gonna be worth your while. Just stick around for another 2 minutes. Yeah, I just don't want to dox myself, which is why I'm hiding some of the information that is on the browser. But yeah, I think that looks good now. Let's lock that. I promise you, I only started using OBS yesterday. And by yesterday, I'm actually lying. I started using OBS this morning at around about like 1 a.m. And yeah, I knew I was going to use it. But yeah, you know, not an excuse, just telling you what it is. Yeah, man. I think that looks good now. Let's lock that. Also, we'll figure out what's going on with that camera. Let me bring it here so that you guys can see what I'm talking about. I was using my Osmo. And yeah, I don't know why it doesn't want to work. Maybe it's just like a reset thing. I'll keep it off for now. And maybe later we'll see if it works. Because I really would love to use it, man. It's such a good camera. But yeah, but anyway, what's today about? Today is Sunday. And this is where normally I start preparing for this is when I start preparing for the week, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, this is when I start preparing for the week. Yeah, just marking out levels and seeing where I'm going to be trading from potentially. You know what price was doing pretty much like the previous week. I'm also going into a new month, so it's probably going to be significant as well to see what price was doing over the entire month. You know, just logically, I just think like just knowing the areas of value from May, is going to be important. Just so we know whether we're trading within May's range, you know what I mean? Yeah, but I'll explain. I'll explain as I'm doing my thing. As I'm doing my thing. Let's do the thing. What we have, also maybe just to explain, what you have on the top left of your screen is Trade C. So I've been taking my trades off of Trade C, and the reason why was because I did have a bit of an internet challenge where kind of a lag. So what I was watching on my charting platform, which is MotiveWave, was like 2 to 5 seconds behind the actual price action, which of course is a problem, which of course is a problem because you want to be making your trades in real time. So I'm using Rhythmic. That's the data provider. So Rhythmic on MotiveWave and also on TradeC. And from TradeC, I am just making my entries, which is what that is. It's the weekend, so I'm not going to be making any trades right now. I will be tomorrow though, so come back tomorrow around about this time. I'll be trading ES live during New York session. But yeah, and then bottom left of the screen, c'est moi, that's me. And then on the charts there, that big rectangular thing over here. What we have over here is MotiveWave, and this is where I will be doing my markups and finding levels, basically. So what I do want to do though is I've just been like kind of running through plays, and different things I want to try out. By try out, I mean it's like I've taken a significant number of trades from the last time. I can't even remember the last video I did, but I've taken a lot of trades. I think I'm close. I must have done like close to like 500 trades, I think, between Jan and April-ish. Yeah, so I really use what I use. I use the first quarter, just really, 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 really hone into what's actually going on with the charts, and also just trying to find my own understanding. so that I can contextualize everything better, that I can contextualize everything in a very clean way and in a way that is me and in a way that works for me. I think there's a lot of, there's a lot of like talk on the internet and on especially like uh, trading YouTube and trading content, I guess, which is around strategies and what strategy works best and what strategy is shit and all of this shit, and it's like whatever works for you, bro, at the end of the day. If you're looking at this and you're seeing lightning patterns and I started playing around with order flow when I was doing CFD markets, right? When I was trading prop firms with Funded Next. And what I was doing is I was doing all of this charting here. I was doing it on TradingView, and then I was making my trades in MT5 and MetaTrader 5, right? Because again, brokers, right? And CFDs. So that's what I was doing. The downside of that was as much as like the price action was similar, right? So like for ES, I think that's US 500. As much as like the patterns are the same, the prices aren't. So over here, 7356, like the bottom of this, and by the bottom I mean like over here, right? 73, whatever it is, 354 would not be 7354 in the CFD market. Why? Because we have brokers, right? And so the brokers are adding their own spread, right? So that already in itself is kind of a problem because like what are you then actually trading? you know what are you trading? So like your entry might be like really really fine, but then like also less spread. And so I managed to get funded on like one of my attempts with Funded Next, which is fantastic because I did it in like 2 tries. I did it in 2 days and I was really excited about that. I have videos on like that entire journey on the camera. I'm not sure if I want to share that just yet, but I will in time, maybe. But yeah, but that's what made me switch because I was just tired of one. I was tired of being hit by the spread and then also like converting the price and like it was just like a lot of work. So that's what made me switch. And of course, like I don't have enough capital for me to fund my own personal futures account. So I'm using a prop firm, and the prop firm that I'm using is Lucid. If all goes well, hopefully by the end of this week, I will be affiliated with Lucid somewhat, and I will be able to give people who use my discount code discounts on prop firm evaluations if you'd like to take one. Yeah, but damn, it's cold, bro. But yeah, so that was why I switched. Basically, that was why I switched. So I'm using Lucid. I'm using Lucid, and we're gonna be doing. My goal is to get two Lucid flex accounts, two Lucid 50K flex accounts funded, and I want to be doing it all live. I want to be doing it all live. One, because it's also gonna keep me super super disciplined, and also two, there's gonna be proof of concept work, which I think is important. I think there are a lot of people who say they trade, but they really did not. And there are a lot of people who are making a lot of money from trading, but they're not making money from trading. They're making money from the other things that are affiliated to their trading, which is fine. More power to you, sis. More power to you, bro. Do what you gotta do. Secure the bag. I, on the other hand, actually want to do, and I want to be good at this. I want to be good at this because I don't know, man. Trading is great once you know what you're doing. But yeah. So enough yapping. How many minutes is that? That's like bar 15 minutes. I have not done a single trading thing except throw a volume profile on, which is fine. But yeah, let's get into it. What do I want to do? I want to run a couple of plays, right? I want to test a couple of plays that I've been developing. That makes me sound like more of a genius than I actually am. But I want to run a couple of plays that I've taken over the past 5 months. To be honest, let's call it 2 months because that first quarter was tricky. I was just kind of like throwing things at the wall and trying to see what would stick. Just fling shit and see what will stick. So over the past 2 months, I was taking a couple of trades. I was taking trades just like regularly. But then what I started doing that like really brought me, I think, a lot closer to where I want to get was journaling my trades, because then with journaling my trades, then I get to see what was working and what was not. And then I also got to see what was working more often than what was not working, So what I'm basically going to be doing here is I just want to go through like my process. Obviously, this is a back test. This is from the 7th of May. So, use that information however you want to use it. But yeah, I just want to back test and see what happened on the 7th and see how price action developed during New York session after, and see which one of my plays works more, not works, but like which one of my plays presents itself more often. There's two types of plays that I'm looking at specifically, but I'll get into that as I'm doing this. So what I just did is I threw a volume profile over the previous day's price action from New York session, which is from 15:30 to 10 p.m. And that's how I develop my levels, right? Yeah, this is how I develop my levels. I mean, if you do have any questions, I guess probably the best place to ask them will be in the comment section, and then we'll see if I feel kind enough to do videos about that stuff. I probably will. But yeah, I will explain this stuff as I'm going along. So these lines that I'm marking, PD, POC is the previous day. So PD is for POC, is for previous day. POC is the point of control. I'll explain what that is in just a bit. Let me just mark this out. 365.25. And then what's the other level? 379. 379 what? 75. It would slap if I could play some music, but I have to charge my laptop at the same time. Yeah. Okay, cool. So what's going on here? Let me hide these other blue lines because they might confuse. Yeah. Just checking on that stream just to make sure everything is good. Everything's good. Cool. So previous day volume profile. Why? Because this volume profile shows me where the participants of this auction, and of the auction I mean during New York session on the 6th of May. This is where the participants of the auction transacted. So the POC is where there was the most amount of volume from the participants during this session. So between 3:30 and 10. Yeah. So that's what this is. And so I'm marking them out because then they give me context as to what is fair value, which is around the POC, and what is discount, which is the value area low, VAL, and what is premium, which is value area high. So knowing what's expensive and knowing what's cheap, or what the participants considered cheap during the auction between 3:30 and 10, right? That's going to give me context as to what to expect, right? During the current day session. Lots of English, lots of words. Will it make sense? Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But this video is not really. I really don't want to get into like a super deep dive. I just wanna run the plays and see what's going on. I also mark out like previous week levels, which is what I'm gonna do at the end of the video. I just don't need them right now, so I am going to hide them. Yeah, and I think I'm gonna hide these other ones because these are from the 28th. So previous day. Those are like much later. I'll do those a little later. I'll mark out like for this week at the end of the stream. So right now that I have the previous week levels marked out, then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to draw the volume profile over the Globex session. Globex is from uh Globex is from midnight my time to 3:30. So that's 6 p.m. EST, I think. Yeah, 6 p.m. New York time. Right up until the open of New York session. Why are these important? Well, these are important as well because of the same thing. Like just basically you just want to know where the auction is happening overnight. They call it the overnight session, the Globex session, right? So you just want to, for me, I just also just want to know where price was developing, where fair value was, where premium was, etc. Again, just for context, you know, yeah, because at the end of the day, like what a market is, it's just like transactions. It's people buying stuff and selling stuff, right? And buying and selling to each other. So where were they doing this, and um at what point was certain at what point was the asset considered cheap, and at what point was the asset considered expensive? Of course, like where okay, I think of it like this. We have two things that we're used to, at least when you're starting to trade. Like these are the two things that everyone focuses on and hyper focuses on, right? It's price, which is over here, and then it's time, right? Because the price tells you how much it is, or how much it's going for, how much it was bought for. And the price tells you when, right? And so that's basic. That's why you have people who like switch to a 5 minute and be like, oh yeah, this is how much the you know the asset moved in 5 minutes or whatever. Cool. But then the third thing, which I think is like really important, and I don't want to say more important because like it's not a either or thing, right? But it is something that I feel that I've not feel, but something that I've discovered is important, and also just intellectually, and also just from books and on markets and everything. This is a theme that repeats itself like often, right? Volume is as important because what volume will tell you is like where the most amount of transactions happened in relation to price. Like time is cool. Like, yeah, okay, cool, 5 o'clock. Because this gives us as to, oh, okay, cool. Like during Globex session, right? This was fair value. Let's say going to New York Open. That's 9 a.m. my time, right? So at 9 a.m. This is where price was. This is where the asset was valued, right? 7409, 75. Roundabout at 9:13 a.m., right? New York Open. So you have price and you have time. Then also what you have is you have volume, which is why I throw in a volume profile, because these peaks then show me and they tell me how much volume, don't go too far, they tell me how much volume was at that price level. You get it? You get it? If you don't get it, forget about it. Yeah, so that's why I have like volume profiles. And also it's also why I'm not gonna argue with people ICT, like to each their own, bro. Like as I said like earlier, if you're seeing dog ears on the charts, cool. More power to you, bro. Can't change your mind. And will I change your mind? I shall not. Because that is not my responsibility. And again, like it's one of those things where like with market analysis, market analysis, market analysis. I guess everything works because at the end of the day, it's just honestly, this is betting. If I'm gonna keep it a buck, you know, pun 100% intended. It's betting. It's like a coin toss. You know, you're probably gonna have a lot more success by just like tossing a coin and then deciding whether you're gonna buy or whether you're gonna sell, right? Yeah, you know. So at the end of the day, that's what it is. Like we can bullshit ourselves and be like, oh yeah, no, I've trading is whatever the fuck you want to call it. But at the end of the day, it's betting. It's like placing a bet. It's placing on a bet. It's placing a bet on where you think the market is gonna go, right? Right. But then there's a way in which it works also at the same time. As much as it's a bet, as much as it's betting, there's mechanics to it, you know, which is why I've been spending so much time like trying to figure this stuff out. And which is probably, which I'm not gonna lie is gonna suck because like, yo, at the end of the day, look, at the end of the day, I can do one thing, right? I can like go into this for weeks and 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 months and years, right? And then come on to a live stream and then just like live stream for like an hour and then you can get everything within that hour. But I would have spent like time trying to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Which does this suck? Not really, but it is what it is. Yeah. Yo, Jay, sure. What's going on, my G? Yeah, I'm glad you're here. Glad you caught the live. This is gonna be a lot. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna be so unhinged off the door. But yeah, I'm glad you're here. Um, oh yeah, man. Let's run that collab. Let's run that collab. Hit me up, bro. Hit me up. Hit me up. Yeah. So what do we say we're gonna do? Just wanna figure out what's going on with the plays, right? So far, what have we drawn? We drew the previous day volume profile, and now we've done the Globix volume profile. Cool. And now we have our levels, right? Now we have like the levels that I am really concerned with. Previous day's value would be within this range between the previous day value area high and the previous day value area low. And then this is where the Globix session was. And we stopped before 15:30 because like New York session is now the beginning of a new auction, right? Of a new auction. So I'm just gonna switch these off because I don't want my PC. I don't want my laptop to, what's the word? I want to spread the resources out a lot more. So, all right, cool. Now that we have these levels, other thing that I'm gonna throw on, which is also really important, I think, is VWAP. I was playing around with VWAP during I did use VWAP a lot in the first quarter. You know, I think like my understanding of it was like a little different, and it was skewed because yeah, it was skewed, man. Yeah, I don't put the standard deviation bands. Yeah, I don't use the standard deviation bands anymore. I used to, but they're not as relevant to like what I'm doing right now anymore. Yeah, I just felt like they were adding just a little too many things onto my chart. So yeah, so I'm gonna be using the VWAP, volume weighted average price, for the Globix session, and then I'm also gonna be using VWAP from the regular trading session. So I'll throw these on, switch those on, and then also I'm gonna be using Keltner channels. Keltner channels. Okay, so basically, Keltner channel is this black line over here, gray line. I don't know what color you be seeing it as, but this black line over here, that's an SMA. That's a 20 SMA. So it's finding the average price of the last 20 candles, right? And that's how it's plotting. That's how that line gets plotted, right? How I use the Keltner channels is I want to know how extended price is. So the dotted lines at the top are a certain number of ATR away from the SMA. ATR is an average true range, and it's the range of the last 14 candles, right? So over here, ATR 1.1446, that's the ATR of the last 14 candles, right? So the average true range. So that's like measuring from the bottom of that candle to the top of that candle, bottom of this candle to the top of that candle. And then like all of that, like that entire dollar amount, like whatever that move is, right? It finds the average of those of the last 14 candles, right? So basically how the Keltner channel works is if it gets to either extremes of it, right? It's an indication that the price is overextended, basically. So it's important to me because then I know not to buy this, right? I know not to buy when it's here, or I know not to sell when it's here. That's not always the case, but then at least it gives me context as to what I want to do, right? Or as to what I possibly could do next. So I'm just gonna drop the speed and just make it 20. And then we're just gonna run price as from 1531. Oh, cool. Yeah. I don't like that. Okay, there we go. Cool. So now, oops, just a little too wide. That's what she said. Also, guys, I don't know if I should say this, but not financial advice. But now that you know, um, yeah. So now, the volume profile that I've put on here is the volume profile for the developing session. So during my live streams, you're gonna see this. You're gonna see me put a volume profile on the developing session. Why? Because again, I also want to have context. Excuse me. I want to have context as to where price is developing and how price is developing, right? Again, red dotted line, that's value area low. That is the point of control. That is value area high. Yeah. So one of the things that I like, one of the plays that I've been playing, well, a couple of trades that I took this past month and also in April was buying like the top of this. So getting a break and retest. I don't know if I can draw it here. Sorry. Where is that tool? Is it a pen tool? Oh, wow. Come on now. I don't want to. Okay, cool. I think I'll just use that. But yeah, so basically what I'll be looking for, right? If we're going like to the upside, I'll be looking for price to break, like so for price to, oops. Oh, okay, that's how that works. Not what I wanted to draw, but let's start it again. Cool. Now that I know how that works. Okay, cool. So basically what I'd be looking for, right, is I'd be looking for price to like break above the value area high, right? And then for a retest of it, and then I get my entry from here, and then capitalize on that move or whatever, something like that. And then also same thing to the downside, right? I'd be looking for a break below, right? A retest of it, and then a continuation move. Yeah, and then a continuation move down. So that's kind of what I'll be looking for from the volume profile, but also specifically within a set amount of time. I discovered that like usually within the first 30 minutes of the session, that's when I'm kind of like looking for those plays. So I'm just like playing this out just to see how often that happens and to see how reliable it is, because I've seen like from just like previous back tests that I've done, it works a lot better to the upside, and that kind of makes sense because this is a north moving asset. You get what I'm saying? It's a north moving asset, so Um, yeah. So that's kind of what I'm trying to gauge. Also, just like be checking the time over there. It's 15:42. So we'll see what happens. See, that's not a break. A break would be a full candle close below or full candle close above, right? A couple of things also that like uh just kind of just like from seeing, right? Um how price reacts around the view app is also important, you know. So okay, this is going a little too deep, but it is also what she said. But yeah, so around about 2 a.m. my time, that would be 8 p.m. New York time. Um, see, we're getting like buys off like the view app. So bought off there, extend. Bought off there, extend. Again, not really a test, but off of that, an extension. And then I think like when we got into London session, right? See, we had like that entire expansive move up, right? Had that entire, and then also that this is the SMA. Let me switch that off just so you don't look at too many things. Where are you? There we go. Right. Um, Nothing during London session, right? We're already like way above it. And then at some point, and then again we came and then we bought it again. Came, got that tap, bought off it. Went below, tried to sell below it, failed. So it's like we're ranging around like the view app, you know. Why is that information important? Well, because like what the market does is what market participants do, right? Leaves clues and it leaves hints. I think of it as buy programs. I think of it like, well, this is a buy program that was like set on this particular day during the Globex session, because these institutions have a lot of money, so it's like, there's probably just a buy program that's running that's like, okay, cool, buy the test of the view app, and so we got that, bought the test of that, bought the test of that. This could have been like a fake out to be like, okay, cool, we've been buying it like pretty much the entire Globex session, right? And so now this is like oh, okay, cool, we went below it, so now we're selling it, are we? Nah. We come back and then we buy it again, and then we buy it again, and we buy it again, right? And now we're at New York session, right? So now this is now a new group of participants now, and so watching how price reacts around VWAP also is going to give me an indication as to what to kind of expect during this session, right? And by expect, it's not like I'm forerunning the market, but it's just like I want to be on the right side of what everyone. Let me not say what everyone is doing, but I want to be on the right side of what like the people who are winning are doing, because essentially it's like it's war basically, kind of, just with trillions of dollars, you know so that's why like the view apps are on, right? And that's the New York view app. Already I can kind of tell, I can not tell, but I can see like, we sold the New York view app. The New York view app is the red line, right? Right from the beginning. And then we sold it again here, and that's 1538, right? And so like I'd be a lot more comfortable with finding a break, or with looking for a break and retest of value area low, right? Again, just it's all just kind of contextual. You know, you can put your own discretion to it, and see what makes sense. But again, not really trying to prove anything. I'm just really just like running the plays and trying to see how often certain things happen and transpire. Also, I think also that's something that's also important for context is, are these value areas, right? So that's the overnight value area high, and that's the point of control. This area here during the Globex session, like roundabout here. Why am I doing that when I can draw it, right? Like over here, right? Like this area extended to the right. This is like fair value, right? this is fair value. This is where there was an agreement between market participants that, like, yes, this is a fair price for the asset during the Globex session, right? So rejection of that is also like indicative. It's like, well, we don't want to be around fair value, and of course, like, then as well, there's now using my discretion. It's kind of telling me that, like, well, overnight value area, the overnight value area high was also deemed too expensive to transact from, which is why now we're going lower than both of these, So again, just for context, and this is how I'll be thinking about things as you know as we're trading. But yeah, let's see. This also, I think, would have been like a pretty solid entry, selling from the overnight value area low, but it's just the time is also 15:43, and I don't want to be taking trades within the first 15 minutes. If I don't want to be taking trades during that time. Okay, watching. Okay, now that's a clear break of value area low, right? My only concern now would be where we are in relation to the Keltner channels, but let's see how that plays out. Seeing as we've also rejected the overnight value area low, so possibly looking for something like, how many points is 2.5 from 390? Like a 6 point stop loss. Nah, I think if price, another way I've just kind of been thinking around like my stops, right, is I can use like the ATR, right? I can use the ATR and use it as, you know, to determine like my entries and my exits. This also is not that's not the position I want to be drawing. This is how I want to be drawing it, because we're trying to sell it, eh? Right? So how how I've been thinking about like where to put like my stops, right? If I use a fixed stop loss size, right? If I'm always like, oh, I'm gonna use a 10 point stop, a 10 point stop, a 10 point stop, I'm not putting into consideration where where the trade I'm trying to take gets invalidated, right? Because that's also important. It's like, and what point? Because everything is a trade idea, right? Okay, everything is a trade idea, and essentially, I want to be making trades that are based off institutional levels, right? And so, like, my discretion is coming from what I'm seeing has been left behind as clues, right? But as much as like that's the case, as much as like that's like how I'm determining my entries, my exits also need to be like really, really set in stone. Like, it has to be a thing where it's like, at what point does my trade idea get invalidated? And so for this, right, for this trade, like the way that I'm seeing it is, well, if price goes to the other side of value, then this trade is invalidated. Why? Because then we've just gone from value area low to value area high, and we're not going to get an extension lower, right? A logical place to target would be the previous day value area high, right? So looking at something like this would be on like on one contract on the what do they call it, on the ES, which is not where I don't do minis, I do micros, and I do like 5 micros. So whatever amount gets hit, whether it's like a loss or profit, just like divided by 2, and that's what the dollar amount would be. But yeah, but like looking for this is the break, and now I'll be looking for the retest, right? Again, 15:46. So it does work according to like my time and the way that I'd want to be trading. So okay, so that's the entry right there. Let me take a screenshot of this. Documents. Ooh, I hope you're not. Oh, okay, well, I didn't want y'all to see. I don't want y'all to see what's going on my computer. but we here. Strings, eval, models. Yeah, so these are just kind of like some of the other plays that I've been, as I was saying, that I was developing and just saving as screenshots. I'll put them up on X or something. Um, but yeah, entry ES. We'll see how this plays out. ES June contract. This is for the 7th of May. Time is 15:46. Save. Let's see what happens from there. See, like from here, this is overextended now, so again, this is kind of like what I was saying, was like for context, like the Keltner channels will give you a lot of context, right? Again, it's just telling me that this is 2.5. Don't want to tell you how many ATRs it is. Don't matter. It's 2.5 times the ATR of the session. So the ATR is 3.196. So from there to here is 2.5 multiplied by 3.196. That's how many points it is from here to here, right? From the SMA to that level. So logically, also, again, like just thinking about it from a non-emotional point, right? This would be a good place to get out of the trade, right? Because again, it's overextended, right? But just want to see. Oh man, I saved that as entry. Cool, doesn't matter. But yeah, but this would be a logical place to get out of that trade. Uh, why? Because there's a really good chance that like from here, right, we just like get back and we get back up to the VWAP, So um, I'm just gonna call that from here. It's not a lot of points, but another thing also to consider is looking at the volume profile and how little volume is at the bottom of that. Like there are other things that would give me context as well as to like whether to get out or not. We're not going to be able. No, don't unlock it. The fuck. We're not going to be able to see resting orders because it's the weekend. But tomorrow, when we take our live trades, we will be. When we're able to see how many, like what's happening on the bid and on the ask, right? It'll be a lot easier to explain either one of these. Where is the ask? I don't know why that's not showing. Okay, we'll sort it out on stream tomorrow, to be honest. But yeah, this would give me context as to where resting orders are, where like passive buyers and where passive sellers are, and where absorption is taking place, right? Another thing that I will be kind of looking at also will be the time in sales. This would give me like indication as to how aggressive buy orders and sell orders are. So for example, I'm just gonna play this out. Let me take a screenshot of this first, and then I'll come to the time in sales. I'll call that a trade. That worked out. And also, how many points is that? 390 to 383. All right. Let's break and retest. Call that an exit. And the only reason why like that's the exit is because of the Keltner channels. Yeah, it's because of the Keltner channels. Is there a possibility? Is there a chance that it goes all the way to previous day value area high? Yes, 100%. But I've done it like so many times where I held something that clearly was giving me indication and showing me that it didn't want to extend, and because like I was so thirsty. Call myself thirsty on stream was crazy, but it is what it is. Like I was like really thirsty for, I was really thirsty for the trade to work out, and because I was thirsty for the trade to work out, I then got hit. You know what I'm saying? I got hit, and like everything just price just like reversed and went back to my entry, and then because it went back to my entry, and then it got a little bit into drawdown, and I thought maybe I could give it a little more space, and then just kind of making excuses, and then you turn a green day into a red day, and that's like the worst thing to do when you're trading. It's the worst, and it's also the worst feeling to sit with. So yeah, so we'll call that a trade, and let's see what happens after the fact. Oh yeah, I wanted to show you what's going on with the time and sales. Right, so just watch like uh this is the time, these are the sales, these are the number of contracts. So the 7387 is the price at which it is at right now, right? 738775, right? This is what they call the tape, and really good traders would be like reading this, and so let me play it at half speed so that doesn't confuse you too much. But yeah, but this is the orders, and this is exactly what I was kind of like talking about, where okay, cool, like there was the indication to get out. What was the indication? The extension in the Keltner channels. It's like this is overextended, you know, get out. And then not doing that, and then getting back to entry. Sitting through this, sitting through this sucks, dude. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, sitting through this sucks. Because we got the break, right? We got the break at 15:45, and then we got the retest. Cool. And then now you sit from 15:46 to 15:51, which isn't a lot of time. That's only 5 minutes. But then after that 5 minutes, then you watch it retrace and go back to entry. It sucks. It sucks. So I'd much rather get out when I've been given enough indication to get out. You know, yeah. So that's that on that. Thank you for coming to my TED talk. And so yeah, and so the tape on the right then gives you like, you get to see what orders are coming in: 7390, 7390.50, 739. So the blue is like buys, and the red is sells. So depending on like how aggressive what comes in, it's just like if I see a lot of red prints, I'm then thinking, okay, cool, there's a lot of like selling pressure. If I'm seeing a lot of blueprints, then to me it's like, oh, then there's a lot of buy pressure. But if I'm seeing, it's also the context, right? So if I'm seeing a lot of blueprints but then prices and moving, right? Like think about it, if like a lot of people are buying but prices and moving higher, right? It must mean that there's a seller who's absorbing all of those buys and is acting as a wall and is defending that level. So for different context, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's why I watched the tape. We might look at it a little deeper tomorrow, but also something also that I use in context and in conjunction with the tape is big trades. These kind of show what's happening as far as like, not kind of show, they show the size of orders at certain points, right? So 211 sell orders. So a red bubble would be sell orders, green bubble would be buy orders, right? So I like to see effort being rewarded. So for example, 204 buy orders at this level, right? So this wicked, and then those 204 orders that came in, and then price went up. Then again, 124 buy orders, and then like price went up. But then again, like these, whoever bought here, right? Because these are also aggregated, so meaning that like it's all like kind of like the same order. That's how I've set it up, at least. Whoever bought here and whoever bought here is super under pressure once price goes lower than that, right? Because then they have to start considering getting out of their positions, because they're trying to buy, they're buying for price to go up, and then they don't get that. You know what I'm saying? It also doesn't necessarily mean that like people bought here with the intention of getting price to go up. It also could be people who sold from here and are now getting out of their positions here. So again, it's just like it's just really about context and just how you contextualize everything. Um, yeah, but yeah, let's see how the rest of this plays out. But that's what these green bubbles are. Also, this would be a really nice entry as like a sell again to the downside. Why? Because like we've sold New York VWAP once, well, twice. We sold it there and we sold it here. So this could be indicative of another down move. Let's see how it plays out though. Okay, well there you go. I also didn't cherry pick this if just feel like I need to put that disclaimer out there. And then again, now we're back within the range. Now we're back within value area low, and we're not breaking to the downside. So again, that's kind of like, I mean, at least not breaking yet, so let's see how that plays out. And chances are, if we don't break to the downside, we're going to revisit the top of that range. If this VWAP doesn't get protected. And so it didn't. Moving this to the side. Let's see what happens here. Globix VWAP. There it is again. Okay, well, should have waited for that candle to close. But yeah, you see 135 buy orders. Now it's the thing of, do you see these buyers' effort get rewarded? That's what it is. That's what it's about, really. That's why I put these on, these big trades. But I'll keep them on just for like another 5 candles. Also, see what I was saying about like the Keltner channels? It's like, yeah, like the level to target was there, but the Keltner channels did kind of give indication that like maybe get out now, bro. So I'll switch the big trades off for now and take these off. Yeah. Also, the time is 16:06, so this is like round about here. That would have been like the first trade, and then now looking for trade number 2. And the trade that I've really been like working on is a trade on initial balance. We'll try and get this one done quickly because I've been here for an hour and they are only done like 20 something minutes of technical analysis. But for the love of God, I hope you got some value. But yeah, that's what I was talking about also earlier about like, we failed to break beneath that and now we're within value. So like the thing that's most likely to happen is going back to the value area high, This also could be a play since that's a break, looking at break and retest. Where would this be invalidated? Here. Oops, just dropping it down to 1, knock on dragger. Right, and maybe targeting overnight value area high. This also could be a potential play. See if price holds above the value area high, The purple lines are initial balance, high and low. The initial balance is, I set my initial balance within the first hour. I used to, at some point, I experimented with like setting initial balance within the first 15 minutes. So initial balance basically is the high and the low of the first hour of the New York session open. It also could be like the first hour of London session or Asia session or whatever session that you trade. I mean, those are only 3, but it's the first hour. It's the high and the low of the opening, So that's what those purple lines are. We'll get to it when this gets to 1630, I'll explain that a little more. Right, this looks like that also could have been an entry. Let me also just like take a screenshot of that. Yeah, I'll call that setup. What was the time there? 1608. I think I'll call that 1606. All right. 1607, but yeah. Okay, that's the entry. Yeah. You know what? Like one of the things that I really love to see is like people make like trading look glamorous. Like, bro, I don't have a Lamborghini. You know, I don't have a Lamborghini. I got no mansion. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm just working extremely hard to try and figure all this out. It sucks sometimes, but I love it. I love it. It's, you know, let's see. Does this happen? Does this work? Also, that's now buy programs on the Globex VWAP. You know, something also to note is just like the number of points, and also where I put my stop loss. Right, I put the stop loss at the POC. Why? Because if price then comes back to the POC, then my trade idea is invalidated. Right? Remember, like what I was looking for is a break and retest. I'm looking for it to break above, come back, test, and then go. So if price fails to break this high, and then this like trade idea is invalidated. You know. Also, if price comes back to the point of control, then the trade idea is also invalidated. You know. Yeah. So that's kind of how I'm going about it, or at least how I'd want to be going about it. You know. 1612. Also, just something as it's not really a rule, but it's something that works, that helps at least, is depending on where we are on the Keltner channel, right? That's what would tell me what to do. That's what would inform my bias. So if we're below the SMA on the Keltner channel, then on the Keltner channels, then I'm looking to sell. I'm looking for downside. If we're above the Keltner channel, then I'm looking for the Keltner channels. Then I'm looking for upside. I'm looking for potential longs, right? I'm at logical level, so it's not just a thing of like once I see price above or below the Keltner channels, I'm just like sell it or buy it. You know, again, just like finding places that make the most sense for also the risk, you know, which is something that I'm sure like over the live streams and stuff we're going to be talking about as we're going about it, you know. But this doesn't look good though. I don't think this trade worked out. Yeah, so that's an invalid trade. Also take a screenshot of that. The reason why, yeah, the reason why I'm taking like all of these screenshots and stuff is also just, I think when I put it up on X, right? When I put it up on X, and also when I put it in my journals, and when I'm like looking at different playbooks, I can then also use um, stats. I can say, look, I've taken 50 of these trades, and of the 50 times that I've taken this trade, it's worked 34 out of the 50 times that I've taken this trade. You know, I feel like that's important, because then like once you have like stats like that, right? Once you have is the word that I'm looking for, stats? Yeah. Well, once you have like those stats, right? And then you can start stacking up probabilities. And once you can start stacking up probabilities, then your risk management is also going to be different. Because if you know something works 90% of the time, the way that you're going to treat it when you get into the market is going to be different. you know. So there's that. Again, this is just like price went. We did get a break and retest of that, and the value area went high, and because the value area went high, went higher, right? We then rotated to the bottom of the range, which is why also setting the stop loss at the point of control, which is the first point of invalidation of the trade idea, right? Where it's like, my trade idea was for us to go long, and then we didn't get that. Okay, now that we didn't get that, at what point, what's the first place that this trade idea is wrong, right? Not going by I want to put a 10-point stop loss. And the reason why I want to put a 10-point stop loss is because I want to protect my feelings. It's like, nah, that's not the way we should be going about it. It's not the way we should be going about it, because if it comes all the way down here, then you just lose more money. So it's like, if I'm going to be wrong, let me be wrong as quickly as possible, because the quicker I'm wrong, the less money I lose, right? And then I can start looking for more valid setups. But I'm glad I took a screenshot of that, because, I'm glad I took a screenshot of that, because again, that play is a play that I also wanted to see whether it would work after 10 a.m., 10 a.m. New York time. So now we have some stats around how it works after 10 a.m. I'm just waiting for it to get to 16:30, and then after that, then we'll get into this week's trade analysis, and yeah, then we'll look at levels. I should be wary of the time, though. I don't want to keep you guys on here for too long. I also don't want to be here forever. Mm, 1621. Not even a break and retest of that. Maybe a break and retest here. There we go. Nope. Rotational day, rotational day. 1625. God, it's cold in here, man. Just waiting. Yeah, so initial balance is about to be set. So as I was saying, initial balance is like the high and the low of the first hour of the session. So it's at 7,400 and 7,383. Okay, cool. So that's initial balance set. So that's not gonna move any higher, and that's not gonna move any lower anymore. Okay, cool. Now it's a thing of, well, what do we get? Do we get an entire retrace to initial balance low, or do we get to initial balance high? Again, the same things, like, the two things that I look for, like roundabout here. It's either, a break and then a retest, right, of initial balance, right? Something like that. Or a fade of initial balance. So a fade would look something like this. Price would come here, right? Look up and fail, come back down, retest that, and then retrace all the way back down, right? So that's like what I'd be, those are the two plays. Or on the other side, it would be a break, right? A retest, and then price goes further down, right? Something like that. Or the opposite of that, which should be a look below and fail, and then comes back within the range. It comes, and then it tests that, and then it comes back. And like where I want to get out is, I want to get out at VWAP, right? I don't want to target like to a too extreme part of the range, So yeah, the initial balance plays like really, like, I don't lie, man, they fucked me up a lot. Fucked me up a lot. So But I have something figured out for them, and I just want to see how this initial balance play developed. Also, this is something that happens like literally every day. It's one of the two, which is also the beauty of it, is that you're either getting a break and retest or you're getting a fade, of either one of the levels. And this is gonna happen every single day, guaranteed every single day. You know, yeah. I think it's only it doesn't. I think it's only I think this said 20 something 23% of the time where neither one of the initial balances get tested. So you know, um, yeah. So waiting for the test. What actually used to like really mess me up was I would get like the very first um I'd be looking for like the very first test of, so like the here, like so from here I'd just be looking at like fading. I'd just be like, yeah, I'm fading this, and then I'd fade it, and I'd fade it all the way back to view app, you know, which sometimes would work, but then a lot of the times it wouldn't, so let's see how this developed. 1640. Also, like determining like acceptance. I learned this like actually learned this like a few days ago. What's going to determine acceptance at a price level or above or below a price level is the amount of time that's spent at that price level. So that I don't use TPO charts. Don't like them. I prefer volume profile. But this dude who uses TPO charts was like, if you get two TPO prints, um, and each TPO print would be 30 minutes. So that's like 30 minute, one 30-minute um, price action. You get what I'm saying. 30 minutes worth of price action above a level, and then another 30 minutes after is acceptance of price above that level, you know. So let's see. So for me, since initial balance was set at 1630, right? Now for moving into that first TPO print, I'm only looking at the first 30 minutes. I don't want to be waiting for an hour. Okay, so that's a break. Or is it? Time in sales. Looking at 400. So let's see what happens with the 400 prints here. 401, 400, 400, 450. 400, 400. Do a lot of sales at 400. See that? A lot of selling at 400. So this is clearly a level where basically this is a decision. Like someone has to give, you know. Um, something has to give here. And also, I mean, like, just because like we're above the Keltner channel, again, like as I was saying, just because we're above the Keltner channel doesn't necessarily mean that because we're above that 20 SMA, I'm now going to be looking for a buy, right? Just because we're above this. This can easily reverse, this can easily go the opposite way. So, let's see also with the big trades, the big trades over here. Buying, buying. See again, lots of buying, no reward over there. So, you know, yeah. That's why I was saying, like, this is like so 50-50. This is so 50-50. Um, all right. Let's throw the time and sales on there again just to see what 400. 401. All right. So maybe let's see if we get something like this to the overnight value area high. Yeah. Why? Only reason why is because I'm seeing these 401 prints, right? Because remember, we were getting a lot of 400s and now we're getting 401s, right? So, and at what point would this be invalidated? I think it would be invalidated if we come down here. Right? That's like a 2 point stop though. Yeah, it's a 2 point stop. So, uh, to be fair, I think even at the bottom of this candle, you know, because yeah, maybe we come and we sweep liquidity here, so let's see how that plays out. Let me take a screenshot. Which one is this one? Initial balance. These were the fades to view up. Let me. Initial balance. What is this? Break and retest. Also, super brave of me to assume. Let's say set up. $16.45. 27. Cool. How did this play out? Oh, there you go. Sorry. I was just like watching. I forgot to screenshot the entry. Entry. 16 what? 48. Yeah. Close. Yeah, you see what I was saying about like we might just come and sweep liquidity and then, also protect the stop is like being protected by a couple of things, like the value area high and then also the overnight point of control. So could a better entry have been here? Perhaps, but that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for the initial balance play. Let's see how that played out. Because also this could have been a look above and fail. Oops. That breaking. Yeah. Okay, cool. So, yeah. So, 50-50, as I was saying, 50-50. So, yeah. So we'll call that a play. Glad I kind of saw that. Glad I could see it now before, exit. I'm glad I could see it kind of prior and talk it out before it happened. 1653. Not a lot of not a lot of points behind this move, right? But why? Again, because like just targeting the logical level, which is the overnight value area high. Right? Acceptance above this could mean that like price comes here. For that's like an 8 point move, which would be pretty good. But 187, half of that is 90 something dollars. Just depending on your risk tolerance. Just depending on your risk tolerance. On one mini, I guess like if I had taken this on one mini, that would have made a little more sense. You know, had I taken this trade exactly with this size, that would have made sense. But yeah, but let's play it out. Let's see. Yeah, let's play it out, and then let's see what happens. What happened towards the end of this, and then we can run some analysis for this coming week. Break and retest there. Hold above overnight value area high. Then there's no telling where this is gonna go. Yeah, so take a screenshot of that as well. Break and retest. Call that X2. What time was that? 16:56. So yeah, so that could have been a lot. That would have been a lot cleaner of a trade, you know. Yeah, potentially also like one way to manage this would have been, you know, you get the break, you get the retest, super deep retest though. You get the retest, cool. After that, as this goes up, you don't put like a hard TP, right? As this goes up, you just like trail your stop loss, you know, because a break and retest like this could go forever, you know. Obviously not forever, but let's see how far this went. Just speeding it up. Yeah, I think that was yeah, I think that was actually a pretty solid exit right at the Keltner channel, you know. So yeah, man, I think that's gonna be it for the what do we call this? I think that's gonna be that for the plays. I think we've done 2 plays today, which is all good. It's all good. And now, what do I want to do with these? Do I want to delete these? Yes. Yeah, let's start all over again. You had to whisper my name. Delete all of those. And then start off with a fresh chart. So yeah, so that was just me going through the plays. Figured out a couple of things. What did we figure out? We figured out that like I am a genius. No, what we figured out is the break and retest above the break and retest from IBH, initial balance high. Also ran a play on the break and retest from the developing volume profile, and using the Kelton channels as an exit, you know. Actually, even on the other trade, we also did the same thing. So, you know what I'm saying? Not too bad. Not too bad of a yeah. Not too bad of you know, not too bad for weekend play. And what I'm really happy about is that like I could call it before the thing happened. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Really chuffed about that. But yeah, so now what we're gonna do is just gonna set up my charts for the week, for this coming week. If you're still in the chat, let me know. If you have any questions, let me know. You can drop your questions in the comment section. I'll answer them in the comment section. I might make a post, then we'll answer them there. You feel me? If you're watching the replay of this, shout out to you because this was long. But yeah, I hope you got some value. But for now, yeah, I think for the next, this should take me about like 15 minutes. Oops. That was strange. Yeah, this should take me about 15 minutes. So let's do that. I'm just gonna switch that off, switch the Keltner channels off, and also switch the view apps off. I don't need that right now. Dude, I'm using, man, I'm using damn. I upgraded my my Mac to the new Tahoe. Well, it's not new. I really didn't want to do it, but I was having performance issues with my laptop, and I just wanted to upgrade it. I just figured I just needed to update it to the latest OS. And man, I don't know where anything is. Like my calendar used to pop up here, now it doesn't. Sorry guys. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna use the calendar here. Right, so we're looking at the previous week's price action. So that's from Monday the 25th to the 29th. Surely if I do this, this would be quicker. Right, and switch that on. What's my name? No see to lap. Why did I go from there? Because I want to draw a volume profile from here, not just from the 25th, but I want to draw a volume profile for the week. And I figured the quickest way to do that would be let me just make sure. Man, it moved it. Son of a bitch. Okay, cool. So that's from the 25th to there. And then I think if I switch that off, that's going to draw it across the entire week. Yeah, so from the 25th to... such a genius. I am a genius. Basically, yeah, I'm just... the whole point of that exercise is just to draw a volume profile across the previous week. If you can switch to a 30-minute chart quick enough, there we go. So this is price action from the previous week. All right. That's all that is. Nothing more to it. Nothing confusing. You know. Enable updates. Also, Motive Wave. If you're listening, I think you should give me a job. I really love Motive Wave. I mean, yeah, as far as like auto flow platforms are concerned, I really love Motive Wave, dude. I tried getting Quantower. That was, yeah, that was a lot more difficult than it should have been. And then I tried getting NinjaTrader, but then we're blocked. So there was that. Yo, previous week value area high. Update. There we go. Yeah, but I really like Motivate. I also spent a ridiculous amount of time trying to figure it out. You know, trying to learn the platform. Was it worth it? Absolutely worth it. I will go back in time and do it all over again. This is the previous week point of control. Apply update. Also, I should give like appropriate shout outs to like the right people. Uh, yeah, there's a dude called Kai, Kai Capital. Such a solid dude and a really good trader too. You know, yeah, a really really good trader. He actually put me on to how to get motive wave at a really really good price, and that just came from watching his channel and yeah, so shout out Kai, dude, such a solid man, such a solid dude. And you know what's crazy? When I started like doing like the uh when I started like looking at order flow, right? All of these volume profiles and stuff, I was doing them a little differently. I was marking my levels out using like months. So I'd go, so I was being really macro. So I'd go per quarter. This is the value area high for Q1 and the POC and the value area low. And then I'd go into the month. This is the value area high for the month of December. Yo, dude. And then I'd go into the week. And then from the week, then I'd get into the day. No, and then from the week, yeah, then from the week I'd get into the day. And then from the day, then I started going per session. So Asia, New York, Asia, London, New York. That's how I start, you know. Yeah, and then you start watching like other people who've kind of been like trading for a little longer than you, or at least who trade in a similar way, and then you start getting ideas. You're like, ah, okay, cool, 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 cool. I see why that doesn't work. I see why that works. So yeah, man, really grateful. Uh, really grateful I got to catch that man trade. Uh, Not just like trade, but I'm really glad I actually subscribed to his channel when I saw him pop up on my feed. A lot of like the research is also like seeing other people do stuff. So him and Cami Capital is also Cami's pretty solid too. If you're into like the whole order flow thing, and those are the people that I would recommend. If like someone was like, I want to start with order flow, of course I'd like watch my shit. You know what I'm saying? Watch my shit, join my WhatsApp channel. But to keep it a buck, and also just yeah, man. These guys have like time and experience. They have a lot of time on the charts, so pretty solid place to start. And then if you're like into like literature and stuff, and just like read a book. Read a book. I read like the Wyckoff methodology 1 and 2 back to back, man. Back to back, because I was just like, I need it. To me, it was like it's still super important to like have this figured out. You guys are welcome to. Do you join a brokerage or a hedge fund? Whatever. When we're ready to go public, you know what I'm saying? We're ready to start the hedge fund. I'll give y'all a shot. You'll know first, yeah. I was supposed to be talking you guys through that. Hey, whoops. Sorry. Won't get that one for free. But if you're watching what I'm doing, then it's gonna make sense. As I said, marked out the previous week levels, right? Previous week value high, previous week value low, and then yeah, and now I'm just marking out the previous day up to 2200. Come on, dude, 2200. Et voila. Cool. So that's previous day value, previous day volume profile done. And now I'm just gonna put the levels, and we don't need that. We don't do the same drugs no more. We don't do the same drugs. Yeah, so that's gonna be value area high, PD. previous day. You get it? You get it. If you don't get it, forget about it. 598. Dude, I can't believe we're at like 600, bro. At the beginning of last month, we were like barely hitting like 7K. 600 points roundabout worth of price action. That's good. So it's a really good time to be bearish. So I'm always like kind of like my heart drops a little when I see shorts and I'm like, oh man, I have to short this. I'm just like, man, I don't like it. I'd rather sit it out. I'd rather sit it out. So like the short moves are like really quick. The short moves are really quick. You know what I'm saying? Because there's people getting out of positions. You know, I think there's a psychological thing to that. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but previous day value every low. Apply updates. Yeah, man, and that's like it. That's everything. What do we do here? Did I delete that volume profile? Because I feel like I shouldn't have. Did I? No, it's still on. Is it? Sorry, I just want to make sure I didn't, just want to make sure I actually marked it out correctly. Because it would suck to mark out like a value area and then it turns out that like, oh no. Yes. Did I? Yeah. Okay, cool. So this is the previous week's volume profile from the 25th, right? From the 25th right up to the 29th. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Price action, volume, fair value, premium, discount, previous week. Cool. What did we do on Friday? From Friday, nope, this is Thursday. Thursday. Friday. From Thursday, actually, we just moved above where value was, right? Cool. And now we've established a new value area here. So we're going to see what Globix is going to do. We're going to come back on here and fill this because this is inefficiency. Some people would do this. And I'm sure someone noticed it or picked it up, right? What do you ICT people call this? A fair value gap. Yay. Why is this a fair value gap? Why is this a fair value gap? Because some man told you it's a fair value gap. So now you believe it. It's a fair value gap. I don't know about all of that. But if I'm to draw what this actually is inefficiency. Okay? Because how the market moves is the market moves in two ways. The market is either balanced or it's imbalanced. And it's balanced when it's found a place where it can transact. See, this is balance. The market spends most of its time doing this, ranging. This is also on the 30-minute, you know what I'm saying, chart. So this is a lot of price action, right? This is 568 to, what's that? To 505. So that's about like 60 points, right? So the market does this a lot. This is efficient. This is efficiency, right? This is efficient, right? Because buyers and sellers and they're all transacting and it's all happy days, right? When price does this is inefficiency. Okay, this from this move there, that's inefficiency. Yeah, and it's inefficient because like it's one-sided, and the only reason it's doing this is so that another leg can happen where there's gonna be efficiency. the market is always going to move from efficiency to inefficiency, inefficiency to efficiency. It happens all the time. I can scroll back. We can efficiency, inefficiency, efficiency, inefficiency, big inefficiency, inefficiency, inefficiency. So anytime you have like these parabolic moves up or parabolic moves down, that's inefficiency. This here, this right here, this is an efficient market. This is efficiency, right? And the market wants to spend most of its time in efficient markets. That's what it's just I don't even know why. It's just I also found it like this, dude. I don't have all the answers. This is just the way it was, you know, from before I even knew I wanted to trade. You know, so that's what that is. So I don't know about like all these like gaps and fair value gaps, and you know, maybe if it works for you, great. You know what I'm saying? More power to you. You know what I mean? Yeah. I know what fair value is, you know, but yeah, I'm not gonna be. I think the less that's it about that, the better. But just to give you a visual clue of what people will be calling a fair value gap. All right. See, we had price move. This volume profile. I drew this volume profile from the bottom of this to the top of that move, right? So volume, let me zoom in. Volume, right? This is volume transacted. This is there's a lot of volume here. Well, there's volume here, right? And then we get this big move up in efficiency. See, like there's no volume there. Well, there is volume, it's just very little, right? Just shut up through that. And then we started creating volume. I mean, yeah, we start developing volume here, right? And where was the most amount of volume that was transacted? Around the PLC. And where's that? Where there was efficient price action. This is inefficiency. What we're trying to look for is we're trying to look for these moves. We're trying to look for the inefficiency, right? We're trying to catch the inefficiencies. That's how we're trying to profit. That's how we're trying to get these points, bro. You know what I'm saying? But this is the fair value gap. That's I'll be looking for. That's the fair value gap. Now you know what it is. Now you know what it actually looks like. It's not the difference between this candlestick and that candlestick. That's some bullshit. Stop doing that. Seriously, stop doing that. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it, man. We're gonna see what happens. Globex session 17:58. I think we're about how many hours away from open? Fair number of hours. We're about like 6 hours away from open. This was really fun, at least for me. I got to fulfill my promise. I got to do what I, you know, yeah. So, hopefully tomorrow my camera is going to be behaving because I don't like using my front camera. I feel like someone could hack me. I don't like using that camera. But this has been fun. We will be back tomorrow. Yeah, we'll be back. We'll be back soon enough. We'll be back tomorrow. 15:30, New York session, trading the US live. Probably gonna start the stream at 3. Just to make sure that everything. I'm gonna start the stream at 3. Yeah, I'm gonna start the stream at 3. All right, so that when the bell goes off, ding, 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 everyone is here, and we're all having a look at the markets together. But yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's me. Time to do some more work, and yeah, this is gonna be a video that I'm gonna release later tonight, which is gonna be on a real world, on an RWA project that I'm really excited about. So stick around for that. Stick around for that, or don't stick around for that. I highly recommend you stick around for that. and like, leave a comment, subscribe, and all of that amazing stuff. But for me, I think that's gonna be everything, man. I think that's it. Mm, yeah, I'll switch these on tomorrow. I'll switch these on tomorrow. By these, I mean the view apps. I'll switch them on just before the session. All right. But yeah, guys, much love. Peace and namaste. Yeah. All right.